Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Shortcuts for Your Soul. And today, the subject is the infinite self. We're going to be connecting and bringing through the infinite self, which is a very expanded perception of reality. And the energy that is involved in this is extremely intense because there's a contrast between who we are as a physical being, who we are as a mental being, who we are as an emotional being, and who we are as this consciousness that pervades all points of time and space. I'm just going to wait a couple minutes for people to come on. Get a couple other things sorted out here. I'm just going to... The infinite self. The infinite self. What is that? So in my meditation this morning, it came up as space, as the experience of endless space. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever tried this in your meditation, but I've actually tried to experience yourself as endless space. To literally move your awareness from its localized position in the body. It's not where you exist, it's where you are localized with your attention. If you move your awareness to different parts of the body, which we can all do, we can all move our awareness to our left hand or our right hand, to our left earlobe or our right earlobe. We can move our awareness to our left foot or right foot. We can move our awareness to our stomach or to our heart or to our lungs. We can move our awareness freely throughout this body. This body is localized awareness. In other words, the identity that you have is localized to this body as the name that you have currently, the beliefs that you have about life, the past experiences you've had. They're all localized to this body, but you, as an awareness, have the ability to distinguish yourself from that, and also to distinguish yourself from the thoughts, and to distinguish yourself from emotional energy, the emotions that you feel. You can actually differentiate your awareness from certain emotions. Now, that's pretty interesting, because the infinite self is not bound by a localized point of time and space. Your infinite self is not bound by localized time and space, but exists through it. And while you are attentive to this identity that you call yourself, William or Mary or Manoj or whatever you call yourself, when you're localized to that, it does not eradicate or eliminate from your ability to be aware of this other self that is infinite in its ability to be connected to all things. And in my meditation, the words came to me, become space, become space. And it just repeated for a few minutes. So I did. I actually went into a place where I began to expand my awareness out of the body, out of the building that I'm in, out of the city, up into the sky, around the planet, and then I moved into this space. The space of space, the literal vacuum of space, as an energy, as an awareness. I moved myself up into it. And then I allowed myself to get expanded out. And then I just felt myself becoming the space. And as that happened, a voice said to me, you, as what you truly are, contain all within you. It is all contained within you. Now, I don't know who that voice was, because it certainly wasn't my voice, but it was very clear that we contain all within us as an awareness. The recognition of that places a level of humility in front of us in terms of this physical world. If this is just contained within me, then it is not who I am. The considerations, the worries and concerns, the joys and sorrows that are amongst the human experience are not who we are, but experiences that we have. They're not who we are, they're experiences that we have as an awareness. But we are not bound to be stuck in, but free to choose to be stuck in a localized point of awareness. Yes, somebody's saying to me right now, the greatest fear you think you have is no fear at all. The greatest fear you think you have is no fear at all. To have no fear is your greatest fear. I don't know why you're saying that. You are so attached to your emotional conditions in this world. You so are attached to the reality of matter that you know or think you know nothing else. And in your ability to let all of that go, you would have what you would appear to think of as nothing, but you would have everything. You would have everything. You would have everything, and you do. You are everything. So how does this work in practical terms? While you are in that form, can you act thusly? Can you act from a perspective that would articulate the intelligence that articulates life as its dominant expression? Can you act, think, and be in all your words and actions as the intelligence that sustains and gives life? Can you do this? That would mean you would need to be mindful of how you treat every molecule of existence from the perspective of awareness, including your physical body. Do you treat every cell in your body as you are the giver of life? Do you treat everyone in this world as if you are the giver of life? For to give life is to give what you would call love, which is a joy, the expression of unbounded, limitless potential, living freely at all points of time and space. Yes. There is a certain level of freedom that you do not understand when you have no fear. This level of freedom enables you to do as you naturally can do from the perspective of who and what you know yourself to be as an awareness that organizes matter, that organizes thought, that organizes energy to create experiences. Imagine you do this all of the time. You organize thought. You organize energy. You organize matter into experiences. And to release your fear, which is the belief that you have no control or power over your existence, which is immutable. Your existence as an awareness is immutable. It exists eternally. And it exists in finite expressions of itself simultaneously. When you come to that awareness, you can bring the greatness of yourself to the part, but you cannot bring the limitations of the part to the greatness of the self. In other words, the limitless potential that you have to create expressions in what you call this experience of time and space, the ability you have to do that is limitless. And many of you are now exercising your limitlessness through matter. And this will increase in this experience of this level of consciousness on this planet. This will increase. For the infinite self is the infinite self. You have no limits to be joyous. You have no limits to be sad. They are both without limit. You can have degrees of suffering and you can have degrees of joy. And you are free to exercise your creativity over either, except from the experience of the limited, the belief that you are just that body. It is more preferable to experience joy than it is to experience suffering. It's more preferable to experience joy than it is to experience suffering. But this can only come about when you know that you are the creator creating expression of experience into matter. Infinite self. So the feeling I got as I went into the meditation further and expand out, the realization that as an awareness, I mean, every one of you right now can do this right now. You can actually take a deep breath and move your awareness out of your body and become aware of the space between the planets and the sun, and become aware of the space between the galaxies. Become aware of the space, not the things themselves. Much the same way as if you want to free yourself from being limited to the body and to the mind, become aware of the space between your thoughts. Become aware of the space between the molecules of your body. The awareness of your expanded or infinite self can be utilized while you're in a finite extension of that. While you're in that finite extension of your infinite self, in that form you find yourself, you can alter and change what's going on in it from that perspective. But it is very difficult to try and get to the limitless self from within a limited perspective. If you think you are just your thoughts, if you think you are your past, if you think you are the body, you will experience your awareness as limited, which of course would be false. So simply expanding yourself into space and allowing your awareness, you, to experience your being infinite space, the infinite self, in which all else is contained. The awareness of this self, your awareness of this self, will give rise to different thoughts, different ideas, and different expressions in time and space. Your ability to be aware of infinite space will enable you to bring into a limited expression greater expression of that self. Do you not understand that where most of the things that you have in this world that are made up by your hands, by your thoughts, do you not understand where these came from first? They came from somewhere. They came out of space. You brought them into matter. You brought them into matter. And you do this all of the time. But you can do it within the framework of established beliefs, which can only give you what that is. Or you can bring in information and ideas of yourself from infinite potential. Infinite potential has an answer to every question, a solution to every problem, a means to transcend any limiting condition that you may find yourself experiencing at this time. This is the infinite self without the limits of what you have been conditioned in that body to believe is who you are. Yes, it's time to take some questions, guys. Wow. Just gonna over here. Thank you. Okay, questions. So, hello from the south. Hello, light of truth. I'm just going to see if we got any questions here. Good morning, Drusilla. Welcome. So that's a very fascinating thing, that this concept of infinite space. So I'm in my meditation, I get my body quiet, I get my mind quiet, and I expand my awareness out into space. And there's a vibration. There's a vibration of being, something that we all are in that limitless space. When we are able to become it, because even, yes, I get that. Because even in my experience today, where I'm aware of infinite space, I'm still analyzing. There's a part of me, there's a small part of me that's still trying to observe the experience of being infinite space. And they were telling me, whoever this being is telling me that even holding on to that little bit of analysis restricts or inhibits the full understanding that will come from the direct experience without any form of filtration of perception. In other words, the experience of being infinite space without the observer aspect of myself, without my separate self observing the experience, there can be no complete understanding of the being of infinite space, of infinite self, the infinite self. Because as long as there's one aspect trying to figure it out, there is a part and another part. There's two parts. And they said it's important you understand when you can, and this is where they said this is where most people come into a fear of death, is they have to let go of their small self to become the self that they are. And it literally is a form of death, even in the process of letting your individualized perception go into a greater sense of self. That is they said it's very similar, and I can attest to that, because when I attempt to allow that part to go, I can actually feel resistance, and I can feel that resistance is literally keeping me tethered into just being localized body, mind, emotional energy. Although I'm aware I've got a greater degree of control over this than some people, that control also inhibits me from being able to let go of control. So our desire to stay in control of life actually inhibits our ability to feel completely free in being what we are in life. That's my understanding of the experience. And I hope this makes sense to some of you guys, that you understand that this greater self that we are trying to bring into form can only come when we allow it. And we can't allow it if our individuality is so much greater than something that's greater, we won't allow it in. It's like being put in a position where you're trying to put a square peg into a round hole. It won't work. And the ego is like a square peg. This separate self that we are trying to overcome, to transcend. This is part of what the ascension process is. Literally allowing our limited perception of self to be released to a higher expression of self, which is not localized to body, but which operates and functions through it, right? Like right now, the consciousness, the awareness that's with me right now is functioning through this form. It's functioning through this form, but it's got the limitations that I, as an individual, think, feel, and believe about what life and energy is. So they'll work with you, they'll work with everybody when you start trying to figure out how to let go of the small self to allow the infinite potential to flow through you. This is the key part of the ascension, is being able to liberate ourselves from the finite to allow to alter and change the finite deliberately and consciously. Wow, cool. Question from Sunny. I think my angels in my mind's eye, is it them? I see a lot of images, somewhat. Sometimes I don't know what is what. Thank you. That's a great question. And it can be very confusing sometimes, because there are different levels, different degrees of energy and consciousness that we recognize as our ascended masters, as the angels, as the Pleiadians, as the Lyrans, as the Telosians. They're different beings on different levels, and it's really important to understand that process is unique and distinct. You will perceive as much as you allow yourself to perceive, to get to a place in your consciousness where you can allow your perception to to not be governed exclusively by the ears, the eyes, but to allow an inner perception, which you're doing. You get a lot of flashes of light, they say. You get lots of flashes of light that indicate that they're around you. To communicate to them individually, again, they are here because they are too evolving. So they're trying to release themselves from individuality as much as we are, but at the same time to expand the expression through individuality, to have an expanded expression through individuality. And you look at beings on the planet like Elon Musk, who have an expanded expression through individuality. The infinite self has a greater liberation, a greater freedom through that mechanism that we call Elon Musk, or the mechanism that we might call Sadhguru, or the mechanism that we might call Master Jesus. They have reduced their egoic state, their mental acquired state, to a higher state of expression and allow that energy to flow through. Healers do that. For those of you that are healers out there, that you allow that energy to flow through you to transform or transcend the conditions in a person's body. You're literally allowing a higher expression of yourself to come through your individuality. And so that ultimately is what the infinite self is, about letting a higher expression of yourself to come through your individuality, so that it's no longer limited by the past of who you think you are, or the emotions that past has conditioned you to believe are who you are. Cool. Thank you. Great question. Question from Deanna. So I'm understanding that we are truly everywhere all the time. Yes, that is absolutely true. Including where you are. And I've been in that state before. I was blessed many years ago to have an experience where I got to experience all things as who I am. And I am all that is, and all that is who I am. And and I've spent the last 25, 30 years trying to resolve that awareness, that knowingness between who I think I am and who I actually am. And I'm slowly, as my guides and angels started coming in, I started accessing higher levels of information and knowledge from these other beings. Because life is an infinite spectrum of individuality, but it's also an infinite spectrum of consciousness, right? And we get to experience the physical reality of what we are as individual, but we can also experience it as expanded infinite potential, right? Which means you can solve any problem. You won't be limited by it. Let's see, get rid of that. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So let's carry on with the questions. Question from Drusilla. I had an amazing experience the other morning coming out of a dream. I was in space looking out of a ship. Was this real? Who am I? And you're going to see a lot of that coming out where people are having experiences. Remember, our physical brains, our acquired experience, our acquired knowledge can only interpret energy and information at the level that it's at. It's interesting that you had that dream about being in a spaceship. I had this experience about being infinite space today, about being infinite space. But recognizing too that in my awareness of being infinite space, I was still operating as a separate individual. What would be really curious, Drusilla, is what would happen if you felt yourself as the space around the ship looking in at Drusilla, looking out into space? What would happen as an awareness? What would you experience as an experience of awareness if you were to observe yourself as the space containing the spaceship, containing Drusilla? What would happen as an awareness for you? That'd be really interesting to have you to share that experience with us. If you want to try and do that. A question from Patricia. I discovered the presence of mice in my house. Of course, my friends say mousetraps and exterminator. Is there a way to make them leave? It's a nice house. I understand why they like it. Thank you, Kate. Well, they're saying the most obvious thing is to find the ways in which to prevent them from coming in, and then to find traps that can capture them in a humane fashion, and then put them back where they belong. Or, alternatively, you may speak in thought and feeling to the consciousness of these creatures. Explain to the consciousness of these creatures that this is not their space. This is your space. And you request that they honor and respect that. Make certain that you can feel the energy that you direct towards them in that process, that you can feel a response from them, because you will. It's all energy. They just told me to tell you that was one of your guardian angels. Wonderful, thank you. So the infinite self, getting to that place of awareness, and again, for somebody who thinks they're just a body and mind, a lot of this will seem very confusing. We have a body, we have a mind, we have emotions, but they are not who we are. They are instruments, mechanisms that we utilize. The body is a physical mechanism that you can see with your physical eyes. We can hear it with our, physical ears. We can touch it with our physical hands. It's a physical energy. This is a physical energy. Whereas your thoughts are non-physical energy. Thoughts with emotions organize electrical responses in your body. And you as an awareness can alter and change. And you as an awareness are also invisible, as are your emotions invisible. Although your emotions, when they work through matter, will cause very precise changes in the energy of matter, in the electrical flow of your body. Understanding that fundamental foundation, that your body is an instrument that is physical, that you use from a non-physical perspective of awareness, and that your awareness organizing thoughts, and most people are stuck trying to organize or reorganize the thoughts they've been given from the world. Very few people stop to create brand new thoughts or think of their own thoughts. Most people accept what the world has given to them as being real, and therefore they're bound into the reality of those thoughts, whether it's based in love or joy or fear or guilt or shame or whatever. The thought process and the emotions connected to them, if you believe that's all there is to who you are, then you will continue to organize your experiences in very specific ways. And some people go through their entire lives never knowing they can change their thoughts, never knowing they can alter their emotions, never knowing that that process of changing thought and emotion organizes matter. When you get to the awareness that you are not your thoughts, they exist, you can't see them, but you can see them represented, as you can see the thoughts coming through this body right now are represented by the language and information that's flowing through it. But the language and the information is not who I am. It's information that I'm conveying to you. It's information that we others are conveying to you as well. This distinction is important. So many people get lost in the body being exclusively the sense of their identity and who they are. Therefore, they cannot move into experiencing the infinite self, the awareness of awareness. But once you understand that your body is something that's observable, that you can direct and reorganize at will, that your thoughts and your emotions are information in the form of non-physical energy that you can reorganize at will, and that those things will organize matter, your body, your expression, your language, your words, the things you do, the things you don't do, into actions. All emotion organizes matter. Emotion is the fifth state of energy. When you get to that awareness that you are organizing thought. You are not the thought. You are the organizer of it. Thought is invisible, but it can become visible when we convey it emotionally through matter. When we convey thought emotionally through matter, it becomes visible to the senses. Sadness, happiness, anger, those thoughts with those emotions become conveyed into matter. They get translated from a non-physical state into a physical state. You are the either conscious conveyor of that process or the unconscious conveyor of that process. In other words, if you are not conscious that you can choose your thoughts and emotions, then you will be unconscious that you exist. And therefore, to just consider the idea that you are infinite space would be nearly impossible to you, because you would believe that that mind and body are exclusively who you are. And yet that mind and body are mechanisms that you use as an awareness to express aspects of what you are as infinite potential in finite space. But that infinite potential brought through into finite space can do vastly more than what you may understand at this time. But your sciences, your healing arts, the new understandings in awareness in what you are beginning to validate that matter is subjective and amenable to awareness. And so that process, that you are not that body, you are not those emotions, you are not that mind, that you are the awareness that can observe, alter, and change them, is the most important starting point for any of you to begin to grasp the understanding that your thoughts are invisible, your emotional energy is invisible, until it is conveyed through matter. The moment it is conveyed through matter, it causes alterations in matter, in time and space. But you as the awareness are not bound by the laws of time and space, except as they apply to your physical form. And even then, from the perspective of limitless awareness, you can alter the effects of matter quite dramatically and profoundly when you understand who you are as an awareness and the level of control that you have over time, space from that perspective. Cool. Thank you. I love that. So really understanding that place in yourself, like really getting that place where you really understand that the body is not who you are. This body is an energy system. It's going to change. Your body that you're in right now is not who you are. Look at, you can make your hands move. And people say, well, I can do that all the time. But where are you doing that from? Well, I'm thinking a thought. Well, where's your thought? Can you see your thought? No, you know your thought's there, but you can't see it, can you? You can't actually see your thought. But you know it's there because you're not your thought. You're the awareness observing thought. As you get to the place where as we all get to the place where we can make those distinctions, the perceptions of reality start to change. These other dimensions start to open up for you when you realize this body and mind, these thoughts are not the only place of existence that I have in time and space. There is another level of consciousness that I exist at that allows me to access multidimensional beings, that allows me to access new information and knowledge, that allows me to access ascended masters or people that have lost their physical means of expression. People ask me that all the time. Well, how can you talk to people when they're dead? I said, well, if I'm talking to them, first of all, they're not dead. Secondly, when a person leaves the body, they have not lost their awareness. They've lost the physical mechanism for expressing that awareness. Like a radio set. If I break a radio set, that doesn't mean the station transmitting the signal is gone. It just means the radio set is damaged. So when a body ceases to function, the awareness, the energy, the signal that is you still exists. You just don't have a mechanism through which to convey it, which is why people come back into bodies to re-articulate that expression until they finally become aware, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind, I'm not this emotion, I'm a soul, I'm an energy. And then you begin the journey of experiencing many different levels of experience that aren't localized to just this physical planet. Cool. Thank you. Wonderful. Yes, I heard her too. Let's see, go down here. Well, question from Passive Voice 13. If thoughts are non-physical, then what value does daydreaming have for building new wanted experiences? Wonderful question. I love that question. That's brilliant. When you are daydreaming, you are in a non-physical state. You are in a non-physical state. And if your daydreaming has emotion connected to it, you will feel the body react to it. Much the same way, and it's unfortunate, but most people get that experience from television. They watch television and there's something scary or exciting on TV, and they find that something outside of themselves has induced their body to react. Oh my God, the zombies are coming, right? Oh, the people with the masks are coming, or whatever it is, the process is. They find themselves influenced by that medium. Well, in daydreaming, you have the same position of influence that mass media programming has. You have the same level of influence over your mind and body in the daydreaming state that mass mind media has over mind and body. So when you're in your daydreaming state and you're daydreaming about the things that you want to experience and the places you want to go or the people you want to meet. And you start to get emotional about that, and you start to really get into that emotion. Well, physiology, now you're bringing, once you add emotion to it, the system begins to respond. Once you bring emotion down in the body, the system begins to respond. And it's better that you learn to stimulate the emotions you want to express to your body than to allow the world around you to stimulate emotions in your body. And the reality is, the world can't do anything to you unless you allow it. But in that daydreaming state, you bring those new vibrations down, the excitement, the joy, the bliss, and you let your body absorb it. You keep putting that energy in the body. It starts to organize the energy of your body. It starts to broadcast a signal into time and space. You start to broadcast energy into time and space, which begins to organize people and events around you. And that's exactly what mass media does all the time. They broadcast ideas, and it organizes people's behavior. You know? And you as the awareness of your mind and body have the same ability to no longer be subjective to the world, right? To save your own soul, right? But not gain the world. So you become creative in that daydreaming state. You become the creator in the daydreaming state. Thank you for that question. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Once you can add emotion to an idea, it causes an immediate change in body. That change in body broadcasts a signal, much the same way as my the thoughts and information that are flowing through me right now are going into my brain, getting connected to an emotional energy, being projected as a sound wave out to the body. That energy is coming down from one space of time and space to another level of time and space, and to this physical time and space. There are different levels, right? And it now starts to affect and influence everybody that's listening is receiving these vibrations from us, and they'll respond to it according to what their dominant energy is, what they'll receive, what they won't receive. And it's really that simple. The creative process is very simple. Most people don't understand it. Most people think the creative process is something that happens outside them. What's going to happen for me is based on what happens out there. No, it's in here. It's in your awareness. It's in what you are as a being, as an awareness. With regard to that, Naveed, they're saying to me, Naveed, they're telling me to tell you, let go of your fear and become what you are. Let go of your fear. Become what you are. Do not be attached to the form that your greatness can take. Do not be so eager to hold on to safety and the comfort of the familiar. Be willing to embrace yourself fully, freely, and completely. I love that. And it is true, right? Like this physical body I'm in right now, I watch the hair getting gray and I watch things going on. It doesn't bother me. It's just part of the process of this level of matter. And as I'm evolving in who I am, this changes. Aging has nothing to do with growing old and dying. Aging has to do with a change in your consciousness, your awareness, moving from one state of being into another. And that state of being, from the perspective of, if you want to look at the way the body will age, is a level of consciousness. The way the body, if it's going to get healthier as you get older or get sicker as you get older, there are states of being that you have influence over from the perspective of awareness, being aware that the body requires certain things in order to exist in a healthy state, requires certain foods, certain drink, certain things to maintain its optimal functioning for its entire duration of lifetime. I love watching the leaves on the trees as fall rolls around, because you watch some of the leaves are still bright and green on the trees, and other trees are yellow and mottled, and some trees have fallen off. And yet, here it is this late in the season, some trees, leaves, are still green. What's the difference between that leaf and another leaf? Is it the location on the branches? My mind does all kinds of things to try and analyze why is it different. But what they tell me is ultimately, it is the consciousness of that, the awareness of that leaf just as it is the awareness of what you are that will influence and affect your body. Daydreaming is a great way to stay healthy too, by the way. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Patricia. It is very true. Consciousness is electromagnetic, but awareness creates the interaction of electromagnetic phenomena. You as awareness create the effectiveness of electromagnetic phenomena. As an awareness, you organize energy into matter. Wonderful. Wonderful. So this is really great. The infinite self, for those of you that are ready to explore that, and for those of you who are ready to let go, and I'm certainly getting that place where I'm ready to let go of the last tethers of the self that keep me restricted to the confines of the beliefs of mass mind. Humanity cannot move forward in a meaningful way from a perspective of fear. Humanity will never move forward in a new way from a perspective of fear. All fear will do is keep repeating the same problems over and over again. That's all fear has done for the last 70,000 years. And every 12 to 15,000 years have been actual electromagnetic resets between the Earth and the Sun and the other planets. Because the fear creates different results in time and space. Fear as an energy creates different effects in time and space. When you're afraid, your body chemistry changes instantly. And it begins to actually produce adrenaline. The body goes. Fear organizes matter very differently than love or joy or bliss. And so humanity, entrapped in this repeating cycle of being afraid, has been repeating the same problem. And we're moving in that direction now. We're working diligently with myself and many other beings around the world and on other dimensions to try and break this cycle of humanity holding on to fear. But once fear is released and a vibration of what we'll call as love is embraced, we will be able to organize the electromagnetic conditions of time and space deliberately and intentionally from a perspective of conscious awareness rather than the mechanical ways they're trying to right now. Scientists are thinking that if they spray this chemical or they use this electrical current, that they can restructure the way the planet is adjusting and changing. No, it doesn't work that way. The emotions of fear organize matter. Emotion organizes matter. And if you're building machines to try and change a problem, the machine you're building is based on fear. It's not based in love. If you're coming from a vibrational awareness of love versus a vibrational awareness of fear, you will generate very different results in time and space electromagnetically. Jamal Ipsiku, who came through about a year and a half ago, thank you, brother, he's just coming back in again too, and he said very clearly, when Eden fell, it was due to the misuse of energy, the misuse of emotion. The culture then got so caught up into divisiveness, into fear, into anger, that the very nature of that energy, which was foreign to evolved human culture at that time, caused a change in the planetary systems. There was a massive change in our solar system. And that same process has gone on with Atlantis, with Mu, with the Roman Empire, with the Egyptian Empire, with all these great civilizations. This same process we've repeated over and over again. We start to build these wonderful technological tools and as resources, but they're all built from the perspective of fear. Most of these things that people are creating based on the fear of I might not survive. And we've got to get to this place. More of us have to become aware that it is the awareness of the vibration of love or fear that determines what is going to organize our material experience. If I'm in a state of joy right now, if I'm feeling bliss right now, I'm feeling excited, there's a very clear, distinct response in matter, this physical matter. Just if I'm in a depressed state, an angry state, there's a very clear, definite change in matter. Well, that relationship does not apply to only your body, but that relationship applies to the whole world around us. We are 7 billion humans and many billions more of other life forms that are caught up in this energy that's creating what they're calling, they label as climate change, as changes in the solar functions. They're all interconnected. And what we're beginning to realize, but what more people need to understand, is that from the perspective of awareness, actions from fear will create very different results in time-space versus actions from love will organize time-space very differently. And again, even if we do another planetary reset out of repeating the same pattern, we'll still get another kick at the can. It's just as much nicer to see what's on the other side of this, isn't it? Wouldn't it be much nicer to not have fear governing our actions, to not have fear governing our politics, to not have fear creating policies, to not have fear creating the way we treat each other, but to have love as the dominant expression on a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis? And it can be really hard. It can be really hard. I get caught sometimes, I get caught sometimes in the old paradigm. And it takes willpower and good people around us. We want to surround ourselves by good people that understand that fear is a creative force that produces conditions in our material world that cause suffering, quite simply. Wow. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. There we go. Wow. Yeah. Well, I wrote. I got a list of beings. I've got Leonardo da Vinci's going to be coming in on Monday. Leonardo da Vinci's coming in next Monday. Also on Friday, on Shortcuts for Your Soul on Friday. Get ready. We're going to do the meditation on Friday as opposed to Saturday, because Saturday I've got some things that have come up. So Supernatural Saturday and Shortcuts for Your Soul will be kind of combined on Friday. So we're going to bring the energy from Monday and today, this sense of infinite expansiveness, this sense of limitless love, into the meditation on Friday instead of Saturday. And Supernatural Saturday will resume the Saturday following this one. If there's any questions or concerns from anybody, please don't hesitate to place them in the comment section after the video has been posted on the wall. Yes. And again, Da Vinci's amazing. He came to me once about 4 months ago, and wow, he is just, when you know who you are, when you know that you're not just a body mind, and you know that you're this creative intelligence, or better to say a creating intelligence, there's a level of freedom in these beings, like Da Vinci, Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking. Like, even though Stephen Hawking's body was all, there was a level of freedom in the knowing of who they are that transcends the conditions of matter, right? I love that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that on Monday. Also, where are we here? Also on Monday on Shortcuts for the Soul, we'll be doing the draw for the draw for the free reading with me for my Patreons. I'll be doing the draw on the Monday's Shortcuts for Your Soul. Those of you that want to support this work, please consider going to my Patreon page, patreon.com/William Michael Forbes. So consider supporting me through my PayPal, there's a link on all of my videos on my YouTube channel. So please offer your support to keep these messages going and moving forward. And I want to wish all of you much love and thank you for your questions today. Becoming the awareness that you are that can alter and change thought and emotion, therefore matter. And yes, they're telling me that your science is beginning to awaken to the truth that science is a vehicle for the manifestation to demonstrate infinite potential, not to demonstrate limited potential. Science is to reveal the limitless to all. To reveal the limitless to all. Wow, I love that. On that note, everybody, I want to say thank you again for your time, your space, your energy, and I will see you on Friday for Shortcuts. Yes, please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with other people. I mean, this information, there are so many beings coming through right now for so many people. And when you realize that you're not localized to just hearing with your ears and seeing with your eyes, Master Jesus says this. It's written in the Bible if you want to check there. You have eyes but cannot see and ears but cannot hear, which basically means you have to learn to see with your inner eye, which is your pineal gland, and hear with your inner ear, which is your intuition, right? You must learn to see and hear with your inner eye and your inner ear. So much love, everybody. And again, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And by the way, welcome to my new patrons. I'll be seeing you on the 7th. Much love. Bye for now.